Okay,
And
we are
she's
recording.
Angel
We
is
are live,
co-sharing.
and let's
I
make
mean,
sure that you have
she's co-host.
co-host.
Angel is co-host.
Beautiful.
Okay,
We're letting everybody in.
here we go.
Yeah.
I love those words.
Here we go. Go. Welcome, 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 everyone. Aloha. Om Swastiastu from Bali.
Yes, do.
E como mai. Welcome to NaiAsa Institute's virtual temple, the Saraswati Shala. And oh, it's so good to see all of you hopping on. A couple that we know, many that we don't know. So it's so wonderful to meet you all. Thank you so much for choosing to be here right now in support of our amazing angel. And for those who we're meeting for the first time here, I'm Jinju. This is Nova. We are the co-founders of NaiAsa Institute. Um, and we like to share a little manifesta at the beginning of at the beginnings of these sacred movement science soma soul events. And so I want to invite you to just take this time to center into your hearts, into your breaths, connecting in with the earth and all of the elements, and meditating and inviting these words and these concepts and these images into your own hearts. Because here, we, each of you, all of us, are the sacred weavers. We dance the sacred patterns of the cosmos, the cycles of nature. We embrace the spiral paths that guide us back home to the wisdom within. We are the embodiment of the divine. We are the fire of Pele. We are the spirit of Naya, and we are the womb of Gaia. Anchored in the balance of the lunar and the solar, yin and yang, we weave the universal threads of science, soul, and soma for the purpose of healing, transformation, and empowerment for all. And at this moment, I'd just like to invite us all into a few more deep breaths and invoke and call in those benevolent guides that guided all of us here today. Our elemental guides, the air, the earth, the water, the fire, and spirit, and just invite those forces to hold and bless this space. May it be held as a sacred and safe space for everyone here to experience what they came here to experience and to walk away with whatever it is your body, your nervous system, or your soul most needs right now. Aho. And one more deep breath here. And again, welcome to this space, everyone. Just a little Laurel. Oh my goodness, so good to see everybody here. Nova is just going to share a bit about something in terms of just any logistics to keep in
Yeah.
mind. And then we're going to introduce Angel and go from there.
First off, everyone, welcome. And would you please, in the chat box, type where you're signing in from? We always love to see where everyone's coming from. And
what inspired you to be here today?
yes.
Yeah. What's your
Also,
intention?
yes. And we also know that, for most of you, I think it's the evening time, and we appreciate you showing up because it's difficult to show up. So what Angel is going to be going to share, what we like to showcase with our teachers. They're going to be sharing something amazing with what they learned, how they might be uh, using NeuroSomatic Flow in their own lives, how it's affected them. And there's a lot to learn from there. So because you're here, we know that you're going to get a lot out of it. So we want to offer a gift to those. So please stay on to the end so we can share a gift of, I believe, one of our courses, one of our smaller courses that we'll share with you, and also some info that Angel wants to share as well. So without further ado, if you have any questions, what we ask is you can just type them in the chat box or just save it to the end. And yeah, and so more on Angel.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And just Mariana, it's good to see you again. And Daisha, Stephanie Rose from the UK.
UK. Oh my
It's like
goodness.
2 a.m. there or
Oh my
something.
goodness.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you for being here. Georgia, I love it. Iowa, yes. US represent Seattle and New York City. It's so much inspiration from Angel. And it's no wonder, no surprise. Angel is one of the most inspiring humans that I've ever met. And we're just so honored to have her, to introduce her in this way today. And we've just been so grateful. It's been such a gift, you know, for the last 2 or 3 years since she stepped into our training, to get to know her and to witness her amazing journey in more ways than one. So many of you already know Angel, but for those who are going to be coming back to the recording, if you haven't met Angel yet, just a little intro about Angel. So she's an integrative healer, many different modalities that she skillfully weaves. And she brings with her 25 years of professional experience and personal experience in these healing modalities. She serves many clients all over the place, but mainly in New York City and then also in the Virgin Islands. So she goes back and forth. She combines therapeutic body work, yoga therapy, shamanic breath work, energy work, intuitive coaching to facilitate transformation. And now this is part of her requirement in becoming a certified NeuroSomatic Flow facilitator. And so she's going to be facilitating this for you today. Her H.E.A.L, H-E-A-L practice serves individuals and groups, including corporate wellness. That's right. I forgot you did a lot of corporate stuff. And yeah, expanding into neurosomatic flow. She lives by the principle, we rise by lifting others. And yeah, I feel the full embodiment of that in her. Raise your hand, everyone, if those of you that know her that just really feel and receive that gift from her. So again, we're so honored. And this is a really special moment. The journey to this day has been big. It has been a big journey. So I just really want to acknowledge her for everything that it has taken to arrive to this point. So happy for you, Angel, and so excited for everyone here to receive your amazing medicine, this knowledge and experience and these gifts. And yeah, with that, I'm going to hand the sacred mic over to her. And also, if anybody, she may be inviting people to light a candle, but we're going to go ahead and light.
We're going to invite ourselves.
Our candle. And if you have a candle, if you go ahead and feel free to go ahead and grab one, because Angel is a fire dance artist, and the fire is one of the fire is kind of what guided all of us here, what created NaiAsa Institute, and this program ultimately is that connection and dance with this sacred element of fire. And we're going to work with the inner light today. And yeah.
Well, and speaking of fire, since you wrote in your last newsletter
And a
about,
prayer to everybody
yeah,
in LA.
yep,
Yeah.
I'm sure
Who
we
is,
are, most of us here are probably 2 degrees of separation from someone who's lost their home. I know
yeah.
we are. So,
Yeah. 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 Just maybe even just 10 seconds right now of silence to just send our love, prayers, and a lot of water and healing to those people. Okay. And with that, we invite you to enjoy this beautiful journey. All right, Angel, you ready?
I hope so. Thank you both so much for the beautiful intro and invocation and invitation to be here. So I just wanted to again say thank you everyone for being here today, whether you're from the UK or the East Coast or somewhere Central Time. I also wanted to give a big shout to my fire community that's also here. I was not expecting so many of you to show up, so thank you for holding me tonight. You know I love you. So for the evening, over here on the East Coast, I'm going to be doing a presentation, as most of you already know. I'm going to start to launch it now so that you get a sense of what we're going to be working with. Give me 1 second as I get my screen up. So typically, okay, so I think here we go. We're going to do present. All right, just want to shift my gallery real quick just to make sure I can see everybody. Can everybody see that? Can you give me 2 thumbs up or, oh, all right, amazing, cool. All right, so I have the chat box open just in case anybody has any little hands along the way. So, so welcome. Jinju is right. It has been quite a journey to get here for the last 6 weeks. For one of our beautiful assignments in our teacher training, there was a requirement to write a paper. That paper intended to be 5 pages and it ended up being 15. Part of that process was a bit of a surprise for me as to how much wanted to come out to be shared. And with that space, what I found was literally an opportunity to do more deep healing that I did not expect. So with that, today I am presenting When Trauma is Befriended, a love story. So for today on our journey, you'll need a paper and pen. You're going to need a little bit of space to move and just some willingness, if you're open to it, to join me on a somatic journey towards the end. Our flow today is going to be weaving an intro, which Gingy pretty much already gave me a beautiful intro. I'll just do just a couple side notes around that. I'm going to be sharing my story with you as to what brought me here today and why I'm sharing what I'm sharing. And then we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive around trauma. We're going to weave that in with the nervous system. And naturally, I'm going to give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about neurosomatic flow and the benefits of it. And then from there, we're going to move into moving. And I'm going to be guiding you through a pretty cool journey to also invite you to maybe work something out within yourself if you feel called. So Jinju already gave a beautiful rundown. I am a holistic and integrative healer with many modalities. The majority of my work is to support clients through their healing and transformation. It's something that I love. It's something that I naturally found that I was called to on my path. Actually at a very young age, probably around 19 when I first started Reiki. So here we are, as Jinju said, about 25 years later. And mostly I hope to always just simply offer this space for people to be able to drop in and mostly always to find their own sovereignty and their own truth within their path. As a part of this healing work that I do, the other portion of my life that I offer is as a fire dancer, a fire artist. This is actually where I found NeuroSomatic Flow, which completely changed my life for the better. I found flow arts from one of my dear sisters who actually trained with Jinju as well, who has a background in occupational therapy. So she gave me a beautiful opportunity to actually learn how to embody this practice. And she has another reason today why I can share it along with this training. One really cool thing we do is we have a fire community, and our fire community is in Long Island City, Queens. It was born a couple years ago. We call it Fire is Medicine, or FAM for short. And we have some phenomenal humans a part of this community that truly understand fire as a form of medicine, and also understanding the power of dance, the power of witnessing each other, learning safety, not just from the logistical point of view, but also learning how to be there for each other in such a strong way. It's often a bond that we don't take for granted, because obviously when you're working with something so powerful, we have to be in full integrity around it. With this is where I've shared most of the neurosomatic work, and we work a lot with the nervous system. We work with flow states, and we work with play, which is one of my favorites. And we also explore fire as a form of ritual. So before we continue to breathe, my intention tonight, before we continue to move on, my intention tonight was to just offer maybe some pauses or some breaks. And what I'd love to do, just for about 7 cycles of breath, it would be just to maybe give you a chance to maybe close your eyes and drop into your body for a moment, just feeling maybe the chair below you, maybe relaxing the shoulders down, maybe even jostling the jaw for a moment. Good. I'm going to invite you to take a beautiful deep breath in. And when you're breathing in, try to breathe into your chest, your ribs, your belly, and your low, low belly. And take a beautiful exhale out, just allowing yourself to release any tension that you might feel. And you're going to do that 2 more times. 2 more big breaths in and out. Good. And from this place, I want to now just take you into a place where maybe you're imagining yourself standing. And to your left and to your right are these beautiful humans that are also on this call tonight. I want you to imagine each and every one of us in a circle right now. And in this circle, one of your hands reaches over to the back of your neighbor and it places on the back of the heart. And then your left hand does the same. So that you can begin to feel a sense of support, sense of being held. And the power of coming together as one. Good. We'll now imagine ourselves breathing a few cycles of breath together in this circle. So again, you'll inhale. Allowing yourself to expand within. And then as you exhale, just feeling yourself maybe grounding down in towards the earth and grounding into the hands that are at your back. Reminding you of how good it feels to have someone by your side. Good. One more cycle of breath. And a slow exhale out. Beautiful. So I'll invite you just to slowly come back on to the call. And I would like to just encourage you to know that each and every one of us is held tonight. Even if we can't all be in person, we are all energetically rooted in now. Okay. So first and foremost, what I would like to do is share my story as to why I'm here tonight. I'm going to do my best to keep it brief and concise. And you may find me breathing a little bit more naturally for my nervous system, as it is sometimes hard to talk about. So 7 years ago, almost 8 now, which will be 8 in the fall, in September 2017, I was in the Virgin Islands in St. John, and I was there watching a friend's house and working, teaching yoga and offering bodywork at the time. And we were presented with a hurricane by the name of Hurricane Irma at the beginning of the month, just after Labor Day. This hurricane is known to be one of the strongest hurricanes to come off of the Atlantic, off the coast of Africa. It was a storm that brought a lot of destruction, and it also brought with it a lot of joy. The destruction aspect was a bit intense in terms of being able to experience. We more or less had a direct hit from the storm. And what ended up happening is we experienced 250-mile winds sustaining with 73 tornadoes that hit the island. So to give you some landscape and a little bit more of a visual, if you're not familiar with the Virgin Islands, St. John is the third Virgin Island out of 3. There's St. Thomas as well as St. Croix. St. John is about the size of Manhattan. So if you've been to New York City, I think that each of us could imagine for a moment, what would it look like to actually have 73 tornadoes over a city? So it's pretty intense to think about. And there were different parts of the island when we got hit directly where we actually experienced some of these. And I was one of the people that did. So we were bunkered up in a home We had friends upstairs, and we were in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we experienced the roof ripping off of the house. We experienced windows blowing out, and in many ways, we prayed for our life for about 4 more hours out of the 6 that the hurricane was hitting. 2 weeks later, on September 15th, another hurricane came through, and she came in with a bit more water. She wasn't as much of a direct hit, but we still got the majority of 200-mile winds. And St. Croix and Puerto Rico are more well known for getting hit with Maria. What's important to note about these is these were 2 very, very destructive hurricanes that affected many people's lives in many different ways. And this brings me to being able to eventually share with you. There will be a link. There's a full story. It's actually more of an inspirational story that I wanted to share with you that I actually made in this teacher training a couple of years back. And if that link will be passed on later. It's about 10 minutes and meant to give you the full picture and hope to you can, and also hoping to see yourself within that story. So trauma, the big T word. We're going to try to keep this extremely simple. Trauma, in short, is an impact that causes a disruption in our flow. Okay. How many people have had an interruption in your flow? Right, raise your hands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who hasn't, right? And with an impact, has everybody here experienced some form of trauma that they could probably share a story around? Yeah, raise your hand. Yeah, or you can even raise your hand on a virtual level too. Yeah. What's really important to know about trauma is that when we go through an impact, and please know I'm going to be using the word trauma and impact a bit back and forth just to create some variation. The word trauma can be a very heavy word at times, and impact can be a little bit more neutral. So please know I'll be talking about the same thing. So when we have an impact, the body basically stores the information. And when the body stores the information, we want to consider our body basically like a library or a record keeper. And this is extremely important because ultimately stress, when we experience trauma or stress, we can't always see it. However, what ends up starting to happen is we start to manifest it when we experience something through a few different ways. So sometimes we might go through some pain loops. Sometimes we might feel tighter on our body or have physical armor. Okay? Our nervous system gets impacted from trauma. We'll also notice things like behavior changes to even cognitive changes. So we want to know more or less that trauma affects us in many, many different ways, and it's going to show up sometimes in all of these ways, or sometimes it may lead in different ways. I find that what's going to be really important here is that what we mentioned before are basically the manifestations of the physical showing up. But the challenge becomes the fact is that the trauma itself or the impact itself, because it gets stored in the body, becomes kind of like this invisible force that starts to run your system. So I love Gabriel Mate. He is a phenomenal pioneer in trauma. I highly recommend him in many of his books that he has out there. He has a beautiful way of making trauma a little bit more friendly. So I highly recommend maybe reading or diving into some of his books if you feel called. Ultimately, what I do want to know is that If anybody has lived with trauma in themselves or lived with trauma with other people, I love his metaphor around saying that it's kind of like an elephant in the room, right? But in a lot of ways, it's almost like we don't know how to address it. So with that, I want to run through big T's and little T's, pretty brief. Your big T or your big trauma is something like something I went through, something catastrophic. This leads to a lot of psychological and physical damage. There's a lot of other things here that I'm sure you can read on the slide. But I want you to think of big T's as something that really disrupts your whole entire life, okay? And in a lot of ways, basically can change you overnight. With our little T's, these are a little bit more complex. And what we have here are more like the smaller things that add up over a period of time, or the compound effect. It doesn't mean any of these little T's don't still add up or create a strong effect, but usually it takes a period of time for it to show up more in the body. And you want to think of little things, maybe like criticism from people, being constantly in stress, maybe over financial matters. These are some prime examples that would be very palpable. To dive into some healing aspects of how do we really work with trauma, and also understanding the bigger component here is, if we understand that trauma gets stuck in the body, then we also understand there's got to be a key system in the body that's running it. This key system is our nervous system, and it's an electrical system. And so what we have here is the CNS, or the central nervous system, which is made up of the spinal cord and the brain. And then we have the PNS, which is made up of the peripheral nervous system. Our CNS is our command center. It's the main head honcho. And the PNS is basically the bridge that connects everything. So if you can imagine yourself for a moment, maybe being in my shoes, being stuck in a closet with a few friends as we're undergoing maybe, not only torrential downpours with rains, but very, very high winds. Your nervous system, this electrical system, takes in information and gives it out. So think of yourself maybe being incubated with way too much information. And so naturally what ends up happening is your electrical board begins to fry, right? So that's basically what ended up happening for me in the storms, where I basically fried everything because of the intensity in one shot. Some reactions of the nervous system when we get locked into our bodies, right? There's fight, being more aggressive. There's flight, the person who needs to leave situations quickly or not stay present. There's freeze, when you basically literally just can't. Sometimes depression could be a part of this, or not even, or aspects of even not being able to articulate an experience are also part of this. The other aspect of what happens with the nervous system is we also fawn. So it's almost like we just keep saying yes to things over and over and over again, because we're not able to actually be in our bodies. And a lot of what happens is we start to disassociate from our bodies in order to cope with maybe specific impacts that we've had. So it's the way that we basically survive, which is part of the invisible force that starts to run our life. What's really crucial to understand and know is that mammals and humans are naturally wired to recalibrate their nervous system when they go through an impact. The fascinating thing is humans, because we have logic and the prefrontal cortex, we have the ability to actually bypass the body mechanisms that we need in order to actually go back to homeostasis. So it's important to know, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that we can distract ourselves with, right? In order to actually not to be with things. And we have to catch ourselves in a lot of ways to realize that what we're actually doing is coping, or we're not actually dealing with what might actually be inside of us, that invisible force that could be running our life. One of the ways that we heal trauma or an impact is basically releasing the charges, or what I like to call the kinks of the nervous system. And you want to think of your nervous system, right? When we said, we have the PNS, right? And the CNS, or the nervous system. The PNS more specifically, I want you to think of your body like maybe like little rivers going through your body, maybe from your fingertips, your head, all the way through into your spine. And then these same rivers or extended rivers come out from the body and also to all the points from the head to the fingertips to the toes. These are like little invisible things that we are basically affected by, right? And so when you have an impact, there's kinks in your flow. Hence why we said at the beginning, it's a disruption to your flow. And if you can imagine, if you, let's just say you have one kink or two kink or four kinks. Now, if you add up 40 kinks, right, depending, we want to start to look at trauma in a way where it's like, how many kinks do we have, right? And maybe if it's a smaller impact, you have a smaller kink, which you'll be able to resolve that quicker. But if you have, 40 kinks, that's going to take you some time. And basically what's happening here is we're not able to receive the information that we need or give it out properly. So it's disrupting our flow. And that's when, because of these kinks or these charges that we might have in our body, that's when the behavioral or the cognitive or the pain loops start to come into our reality and start to create disruption in different ways. In other words, it's causing disruption so that it can be seen. This is huge because this naturally ties into everything else at the beginning. Our nervous system is one of 7 systems. So the heart of this, and where I'm going with this, is that if your nervous system is out of whack, it is going to affect all the other systems in your body. Hence why it's really important to actually go directly for the nervous system to heal it in order to find that homeostasis or the harmony in the body again. Shifting back to trauma briefly on the slide, and we're starting to kind of close out a bit here. I think what's really important, and I don't think a lot of people really understand, is that we as caretakers don't always know how to be there for people who have had trauma. And I have on this list just a few items that I really would just want to highlight. And I'm sharing this especially because so many people, as we both know, are going through fires right now in California. I'm sure we have all seen social media and like what is coming up from social media, from compassion to conspiracy theories to other political issues. And then you have other countries stepping in to help and support humanity. When there's a big natural disaster or even just a big, huge event, what ends up often happening, what I have found in my experience, is you see either the best in people or the worst in people. And it is just a reality that I think we have to accept, because whether we were in the natural disaster or not, it still triggers people, right? And that trigger is still affecting someone's nervous system. And so they naturally will have their own projection. So if you know somebody out there, if you know somebody who has had trauma, some of the best ways that you can be there for them, in short, even if you have friends out in the fire right now, or even anybody who's been through the recent hurricanes last year in the fall, witnessing and listening is the most powerful thing that you can do for them. Not giving advice is the best thing. You're going to want to go on the side and educate yourself read some books, talk to other people if you know other people who are trauma informed in different ways, or therapy. Also amazing. It's important to note that it's not just about you being able to support them, but you being able to actually surround yourself, or for them to surround themselves with a village. If I told you how many people have showed up for me in the last 5 weeks, you would totally understand exactly what I'm talking about. And it was a beautiful reminder, even for me, that it's not just about one person stepping in, but sometimes it takes up to 10 people to be able to help and support you every step of the way. And then that is what makes the healing possible. Yeah. And then if the person is open, depending on where they're at in their process, there's also opportunities for you to maybe give trauma-informed resources to them. People like myself, people like Jinju, I'm sure many more people like you as well. Really considering like even your own resources that can support. And then, just maybe even thinking, this is obviously a list based on my own experience, but there's always other things. So just keeping in mind if there's anything else that you can, think of around being able to support people. I am sure there's always more. To start to wrap this up, there are many ways to address trauma. There's things like EMDR, somatic experiencing, yoga therapy. There's things like internal family systems. There's hands-on body work that can be very useful, medical or therapeutic, to craniosacral therapy. Some of the newer upcomings have been psychedelics like ayahuasca, mushrooms, or ketamine or MDMA, obviously facilitated in a way that can be supportive towards the integration process. I have tried many of those resources, not all, but I want today to highlight NeuroSomatic Flow more specifically because it has actually given me more tools to be able to walk with on this journey to empower myself, which is obviously why we're going in and we're diving in around this today. So NeuroSomatic Flow is, if we had to shorten it, is medicine as flow, flow as medicine. And there's some really beautiful things that we're going to be doing today to actually take you on a journey to be able to really experience this, and which I'm really excited about. And I do want you to know that we're going to work with a specific pattern. We're going to work towards whole brain functioning, which basically means our left and our right side brain are coming together. When we work in this state, what we're actually doing is we're also moving into theta states. So we become more of a sponge to download or to work with mantras, which is something we're also going to do today. In that same process, we start to activate neurogenesis or neuroplasticity. Neurogenesis is when a new neural pathway sorry, I get a little stuck here. Neurogenesis is when a new neural pathway, it's kind of a tongue twister, gets born. And neuroplasticity is continuing to move through a neural pathway that is already there or extending it. The journey we're going to go on today is going to be based on the 4 stages of flow. And so much of this work to really highlight is to incorporate titration in order to build capacity. Okay. Titration is utilizing small incremental moments to build up to a bigger moment. And in short, it's, let's just say if you can hold space maybe only for 2 people, when you start to work with titration and you start to build capacity, it's almost like you go slowly from 2 people to 3 people to 4 people, right? So just imagining yourself maybe holding space for people. And naturally, as you build up this resiliency and adaptation in your own self, your capacity expands to be able to help and support more. Okay, so I want to do a quick check-in with everybody. Raise your hand if you're still here, you're still breathing, still feeling grounded. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Woo. We got through the hard part. All right. So for me, my strength comes in teaching. I love it. I love sharing this work. It brings me so much joy. And especially because not only of what I have experienced with this work, but also because of what I see in other people and where they get to travel to on their path. Today, we are going to work through the 4 stages of flow. They are the struggle, the release, the flow, and the rest. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a moment to center ourselves. And we're just going to do that. And we're just going to take a minute here to begin to maybe put our hands together. And you're going to close your eyes. And you're going to, once again, kind of imagining using the circle concept, which actually happens to be one of the universal patterns we do work with in NeuroSomatic Flow. And as your eyes are closed, imagine yourself in this circle, like right in the middle. Good. So basically what you are doing here is you are setting a container for yourself to be held. It's the container that you have before you where you're going to work through the struggle. You're going to do some release. We're going to flow. And there we're going to rest. So imagine, have you take just 3 cycles of breath, breathing into this beautiful container you have for yourself. And maybe imagining on the next breath that this circle just expands a little bit more as you breathe into it, reminding you of your possibilities, of your potential. And the exhale reminds you to relax and be at ease. Good. And you'll slowly begin to allow your hands to rest. And you're going to slowly come back to the call again when you feel ready. So your container is set. I am now going to welcome you to step into your pen and paper for a moment. So I wanted to welcome you into a potential struggle that you might personally have right now. And I would say, be gentle with what you want to bring forth. But if something is very alive for you, maybe challenge yourself as well. So the first question I'm going to invite you to move into is think about an impact you've had. And if it comes right away, awesome. And then what you're going to do once you have it, you're going to write it down. And so what we're basically doing as we're tapping into this is we have a chart. And by writing it, what we're already doing is we're literally moving it through the body to start to release. Okay. Now, see if you can go into question 3 and go a little deeper to ask, how did it affect your flow, or how is it affecting your flow? So was it hard for you to get up in the morning? Do you have aches and pains? Just acknowledging where it is creating a disruption in your flow is really important. I'm also realizing that I wrote this in the past, so not so much in the present, but that's okay. I think everybody gets the gist. You could be working with something very much alive for you today, or you could be working with something that maybe has been affecting you for a really long time. So that's kind of the crisscross that I put in here. Are we all good? Everybody write something down, or do you need another minute? Just add a heart when you're ready. Oh, I see Mariah's done. Awesome. Yeah, these can get pretty juicy once you finally start making time for yourself. It gets interesting. A lot of times too, unless we're actively working on these things, we don't realize that these things may still be affecting us. Well, we're going to give you one more minute, and then we're going to go ahead and start to gently shift. Okay. I'm just going to start to shift my screen a little bit because we're going to start going into a different exercise. Okay. So how are we doing? All right. Cool. All right. Everybody's good. Thanks, Taisha. Yep. So my invitation to you is to trust whatever you have there. Don't worry about overextending too much. I want to get you in your bodies, which is going to be really, really important. So we just went through the struggle, which is you writing down what was alive for you. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to move through some release, and that is going to require you to stand up. So what we're going to be doing is working with the nervous system more specifically in this moment. So I'm going to invite you to actually stand up and get your feet on the ground. So some really beautiful ways that we can actually discharge or work with our nervous system is by dancing or jumping or shaking or stomping. There's a slew of other ways, but more specifically, when we're talking about trauma and we're talking about impacts, if we've been impacted in our body, what we actually have to do is work with our body to get the charges out. This is crucial, right? So I'm going to throw on some music, and I want to welcome you into this place where you get to basically express yourself in any way you need to. You can shake, you can jump, you can stomp, you can gently stretch if that's what's calling you.
What should I do when the darkness
And we're going to be here using a beautiful song called Freedom, trying to invoke more of this idea of freedom in you. Yeah. Do your arms want to swing? Do you want to dance? Do you want to shake? What's coming up and alive for you right now? What can you breathe into? What can you move out? What kind of fire can you stoke within yourself, knowing that you've set this beautiful container for yourself? You are here, you are now, you are alive. And this energy wants to move through you. It wants to open up this space within you so that you literally have freedom. So keep moving, giving yourself the chance to trust whatever you need. Nothing is wrong. You are beautiful. Good. Keep trusting. One more minute. Just keep flowing with it. This is your time. You matter. Ooh, I'm loving all of these beautiful movements right now. All this trust. What kinks do you need to work out of your body? What can you allow to move through you? Let the feelings move through. Whatever struggle or charge is there, keep moving and imagining it moving out of the body. You got this. It doesn't matter. Feeling your feet on the ground, swaying your hips. What do you need? 30 more seconds. Give it all you got. When the darkness comes, you know, without you, it doesn't matter. Amazing job, everybody. Yeah. All right. Keep standing. Feel your feet on the ground. Close your eyes again for a moment. We are still in that release stage. And just listen. And breathe. Feeling that struggle inside. Feeling that freedom inside.
What happened? What happened here? Why is everything in such disarray?
Finding a sense of stillness.
Let's start again. Step by step. Layer by layer. Let's start again.
Gently breathing.
Let's start again.
Good. And allowing allowing yourself just to be here for a moment. And we're going to start to step into some of the neurosomatic flow work, more specifically with a pattern and also a mantra. So we're now on the third stage. So both feet are gently on the earth. Hips are about hip width apart. Excuse me. And the pattern that we're going to be working with tonight is, or this morning, depending where you are, is going to be the infinity. And each and every one of you has a struggle or a charge you're bringing forth tonight. And so a part of that, I tried to pick a mantra or a powerful affirmation that was going to hopefully bring you to the other side. So that mantra we're going to be working with this evening or morning is going to be, I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. So as you're standing here, you can keep your eyes open, or you can always close them if you feel more comfortable, depending where you are in your body and in your space. The first thing that we're going to start to do is imagine an infinity sign in our pelvic region or our hips. And so what you're going to end up doing is you're going to start to sway your hips very gently in an infinity. This is part of really working with a little bit more of the yin energy, right? You are in yourself, right? You're in your body. And so as you're moving side to side in this infinity, internally, 3 times, you'll say, I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. Good. Now allowing the energy to rise up a bit, we come up into our heart region or to our shoulders. And maybe your body has already started to sway in that way. And then what you're going to start to do again, just make sure maybe you're bringing a little bit more intention in the upper body. Again, infinitely moving with this infinity sign. So it's like literally your body just starts to take over and invites you into these spaces, and you don't have to think at all. And with the upper half of the body, you'll do the same thing, working 3 times, allowing yourself to really feel, I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. Beautiful. And so as your body continues to sway in this infinity, ideally, hopefully bringing and feeling all of you really show up in your mind's eye, you can start just to imagine this infinity sign here now too. And just like maybe envisioning or holding that space, maybe seeing those words before you, I am whole and complete. And again, doing that 3 times. I am whole and complete. And trusting your body movement, trusting that your body is getting exactly what it needs just by moving in this way. Maybe it's very, very subtle. Maybe it's very dramatic. Maybe your body needs to expand itself a little bit more, which is completely fine. This is really about trusting your body's wisdom, your body's intelligence. Good. And then from this space, what we'll start to do after your third repetition in the third eye, you'll start to just slowly begin to let your body find a moment of stillness again. So as you have hopefully some fire charged up through you, which is ideal. And this specifically, now we're going to take this through our arms, okay? And we're not necessarily working with poi today, but this is a poi you can eventually do with, you can eventually do with poi if you have. So you're gonna feel your feet, maybe ground in a little bit again. And this time what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your right hand and you're gonna take it out and you're gonna work with your thumb more specifically. So we worked with the yin energy or the in energy of the body, and we're gonna work with the yang energy of the body now, which is the outward, right? So you're gonna allow your right arm to come out forward in front of you. You can just do a practice one, and then I'm gonna let you flow for a few cycles of breath, and you're gonna go from there. So what you will do is you will make an infinity with your right hand, and then back around. And maybe trying that a couple times, just kind of feeling and sensing what that feels like. And then eventually when you feel connected to that flow, how your body's moving, you're going to bring an inhale to scoop upwards and around. And a beautiful exhale to scoop back under and over. So this would be called layering. So slowly inhaling back around, up and around. And then exhaling under and over. Good. You're now going to run with this and say your mantra again 3 times. I am whole and complete. Inhale. Exhale. Yeah. Keep working with this beautiful medicine to repattern that neural pathway. And then when you're ready, you can just go ahead and slowly shift to the left side. And you'll do the same thing, warming yourself up on the left side. First, noticing how does it feel to get that infinity first, right? Step 1, feeling that pattern. The thumb is leading, going towards the inside, towards the center, and then coming out. And then when you're ready, add the breath, starting to notice that. Maybe they're huge infinities. Maybe they're small infinities. Mariah, I love your infinities right now. April, I see you too. Mariana. Yeah. Stephanie. Renee and Taisha. I know you're doing that. I know you're moving over there. Jinju, you look great also. Yeah. And so you'll finish that up with 3, right? Three more movements incorporating your mantra. I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. And when you are complete, you will let me know by bringing both of your hands together in front of your heart. And they're going to intertwine. And beautiful. Okay. This represents an opportunity for both of the right and the left, not only hands, but both parts of the brain to be fully connected. 3 times we say to ourselves, or even out loud, I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. I am whole and complete. Good. You'll gently open up your eyes. You're going to have a seat. And I'm going to welcome you to please place one hand over the heart and one hand over the belly once you do, and close your eyes again. And the last phase that we're going to move into, just for about a little less than 2 minutes, is the rest phase. It's one of the most important phases of this work. And it's going to just give you an opportunity just to be here, to be still. to be with you. So gently breathing. And allowing your hands to rest. And coming back on to the call. And in our community. And well done on going through the 4 stages of flow tonight with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To conclude our time, I want to remind everybody that the wound is the place where the light enters you. This is a beautiful, sometimes hard place to get to. And it is important to know that not everybody is going to get through their trauma or the impacts that they have had. But if you can be a part of their journey to help them get a few more steps further, please remember this is one of the most important things you can do as a human for another human. I'd also just like to take a moment to thank everybody here today. Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your willingness to participate. And thank you to everybody who also ends up watching this recording. I also like to thank a dear sister, Kiki, who is the one who introduced me to NeuroSomatic Flow. I'd like to thank Jinju and Nova, who have helped to continue to walk me through NeuroSomatic Flow and in this journey and continuing to. Thank you also for holding so much space these last 6 weeks for me. And naturally, I'm going to share that I'm great, excuse me, deep gratitude for the fire that continues to help me walk every day. And also our beautiful fire community that has made me realize the power of showing up over and over again. Even when we don't want to, we always get something from it, no matter what. Thank you so much, everyone. Namaste.
Congratulations! Oh, join us in giving her a round of applause, and we can even Just beam our gratitude with the Padma lotus from our hearts. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful presentation, beautiful experience. Oh, we'd love to hear, maybe even in the chat box, like, how does everybody feel? Any questions does anybody have? And also, we're going to throw into the chat box here for everybody who stayed to the end as promised, this little gift. So it's there. And there's a code that says Angel 22. And this is just for if anyone just wants to, you're curious and you want to learn a little bit more about NeuroSomatic Flow and actually have a chance to play with some of these patterns with the poi and then like in a guided pre-recorded session. That's for
with
you.
a little bit of a Hawaiian twist to
probably
it.
a lot of bit of a Hawaiian
A lot of
twist.
Hawaiian twist.
So that's for you. Thank you all so much for being here, and for your support for Angel, for saying yes to nurturing your own nervous systems. And Angel, wow, that was truly just a beautiful journey that you took us on. There were so many moments. I just felt just so skillfully guided into my heart, my body, and release in the 4 stages. And I'm so excited to see where all of this goes for you. I'm so excited for all of your clients and all of your people to just continue to receive your amazing medicine. Yeah, thank you. And congratulations.
Congratulations, Angel, you did it.
This is, huge milestone.
I had a vision, like through our connections, I feel that we're going to meet Gabor Mate in person and probably present with him at some point. And I know I'm going to say to him, by the way, do you know our friend Angel Alfieri? Because she channels you. I saw a lot of Gabor Mate in your presentation. So
thank you. He's amazing.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You really, So, oh, let's see here, Mariah.
Yeah.
Calm and grounded. Thank you, Angel.
Thank you, Mariah. Yeah. How's everybody feeling? Like, even if like 1 or 2 words, just kind of want to check in with everybody. It's a little challenging to try to like do a presentation and also like do a chat box. I'm sorry if there was like some communication. I'm still working on the details.
Ooh, pure perfection and such a pure reflection of my inner innocence.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's beautiful. And Taisha. Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, with that, if there are, looks like we might have one more here. I feel lingering resistance from my body. Might need to flow a bit before sleep. Okay, yep. Like I have shifted, this is Renee, through the stickiness and struggle into ease. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And April, I feel grateful and calm. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be sending the full replay to all the registrants, and also we'll have in there the a couple more links at the minimum, the link to Angel's full story of her soul expression, about that experience and the light that came through that wound. So we thank everybody. Thank you to all the forces seen and unseen that guided us here today. Thank you to the fire, and most of all, thank you to Angel. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon, flowing with you. We have another seminar, one more in the series, by the way, with Jessica, and that'll be next week. And if you are interested, you should see it on the page as well, so you can come to that. Beautiful. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day. Blessings, rest of your night. Blessings, everyone. Bye. Aloha. And I
Just us.
will